What's up, guys? It's Kyle back with a video, and today we are going to have a little story time. As you saw in the title, I'm going to share a lesson learned from me and something that I hope maybe you guys can learn from, because at the end of the day in business, everyone makes mistakes, but this was by far the most expensive mistake I have ever made. And I wouldn't even call it a mistake. I would call it a set of circumstances that led to basically a poor set of circumstances that led into a decision being an untimely demise in a very unfortunate situation, if that makes any sense. Anyways, guys, so hoping maybe I can teach some business lessons today. And if you guys are liking what we're putting out, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the notification bell so you can see when we post. I've been trying to post every day, depending on how business deals I have going go through. That might change temporarily. It'll really depend on my schedule, but I want to try to post daily. Anyways, so the title of the video: How I Lost $50,000. That's a lot of money. a lot of money. No matter how much money you make, 50 grand is not a small amount of money. And I lost it in span of less than 6 months. So how did that happen? You guys have heard me talk a ton about cooking on here. Like a ton. And one of my all-time dreams had been to open a restaurant. And, businesses were going extremely well. There was plenty of money in the bank. We had a investor lined up, and it looked like it was the perfect time. And this was December of last year. December of 2019, not 2020. That we decided to go for it. Sign a lease to what I thought was an awesome building. It was 3 buildings down the street from my pawn shop. So in terms of execution, couldn't have been better. Most of the equipment was already there for a restaurant. We had to buy a little bit of equipment, but it wasn't too big of a deal. We bought all the supplies, bought all the food, completely redid the place, made it look absolutely beautiful. Everything was freaking amazing. We were gearing up. We were building local hype. We looked like we were unstoppable. And I could not have been happier. And then, boom, the world came to an end for everybody. I need no introduction to what happened. COVID-19. Everything shut down. Businesses, everything shut down. And so for me, that situation created okay, so what do we do now? We just dumped all this money. Do we give up for a year and, maybe negotiate with the landlord, figure something out? Or do we go for it because restaurants were allowed to open for takeout only? I made the hasty decision because I was so caught up on my dream of opening a restaurant. And I said, screw it, let's open up, we'll adjust. Now, I have been involved in the restaurant industry since I was 17, 18 years old. I consider myself well-rounded. I can sit on pretty much everything pertaining to restaurants. And that's true. Except for when the world is going to hell. We quickly built a team. I thought, opening week, we were doing $3,000 to $5,000 a day in takeout alone. Like opening month, it was insane. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing like regular restaurant numbers. So naive me, I then employed a full team. And when I mean full team, I mean with restaurants, a full team is huge. You have prep cooks, line cooks, dishwashers, bus boys, servers. We hadn't hired bartenders yet because we didn't open the bar, which, by the way, part of this huge plan and why we got such a big building was it was actually 2 floors. There was 2 bars in the building. We were going to have a club upstairs and then the restaurant downstairs. Super awesome. We redid everything. It was going to be so great. Unfortunately, we were left with not being able to use the upstairs at all and using downstairs for takeout, and eventually we were able to do seating, but because there were other local restaurants that were more in tightly with the city than I was. In a little tangent, I'm from a business perspective, I've always been very politically active, And that has not boded well for me when I have voiced my opinions against city officials. Sometimes standing up for what's right will cause you some pain. And this is an ideal example of that, in the sense that, I got where most of we were allowed to do outdoor seating, and in the location, basically every other restaurant on the strip got everything taken up. So while they had 20 to 30 seats, I had 4. So, and that's really, I mean, yes, that's kind of the city, and I can point fingers, but you know what the reality is: when you face failure, you don't blame anyone. You just learn from your lessons. So anyways, I made the mistake of thinking it was going huge, and like this was going to be a consistent thing. I hired on a full team with everyone but managers. And so now in my state, you need, in order to run a restaurant, you need an active person who is ServSafe certified. Which, for any who curious, if you don't know, it's basically a certification of sanitary standards for restaurants and like preparation, food prep and stuff. And we didn't do that. So I didn't hire, sorry, I'm certified, but we didn't hire anyone else who was. So I had to be there every day. And I kept having these big plans. Like, I wanted everything there because I'm like, this is my dream. I want it to be huge. I want this so bad. I made it into a brunch spot, which was a plan anyways, but before COVID, we planned on doing breakfast and brunch and stuff, but we had a whole separate breakfast manager lined up, so I didn't even have to think about it. But I went with them, like, still want to do brunch. I still want to be here pretty late so we can do it. I did delivery, and I didn't do it through DoorDash or anything like that. I'm like, I want all this in-house. I want this to be us. Like, I want this to be us. And to do all of that when everything was working against us because everything was limited was just a recipe for disaster. And while sales never really went down, expenses went way, 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 way up to the point where they were more. And granted, I will say, for anyone who's ever looked into the restaurant industry, you know full well that profit margins on restaurants are notoriously small. But ultimately what had happened was I thought it was, we were going like this. I thought we were going like this. So I planned for going like this when we were going like this. Had I not made the mistakes I made, had I not hired on numerous employees, and we won't get into like the performance levels and like some issues we had with that. I don't want to point fingers at anyone else. Had I not hired the numerous employees, had I not overplanned and overpredicted and done all that and just ridden the wave, probably wouldn't have shut down in 6 months. That's just a reality. So it doesn't take much in the realms of restaurants to like cost yourself 50 grand. I mean, our monthly expenses were probably close to 30 grand. And that was for a smaller restaurant. When it was both floors open, we had plans for like $100,000 a month in expenses, planning to make 1.5 mil every year. Like there was great outline plans and great, like, the amount of preparation that went into like the idea of the full concept restaurant was fantastic. And had we done that, there is zero doubt in my mind, absolute zero doubt in my mind, that it would have had any level of failure. And this is the key lesson that I want anyone watching this video, if you're still to take away from this. We had plan A. That was it. Plan A. And had the world gone not crazy and we were able to do plan A, it would have been amazing. There was no plan B, and we winged plan B, and that is where we went wrong. Never. And the sad part is I knew this, but I was arrogant and I was cocky and I was caught up on my own dream. And you never go into a business underprepared. You go in preparing for war. You need to have every scenario figured out, because life is gonna kick you in the nuts, or your lady parts, if you're a woman watching this, whenever you're pushing for it. You got to know how to battle. You got to know how to do that. And the sad part for me, and why I feel like this is a good teaching moment for you guys, why I feel ashamed of this, is because I knew that. I, for 4 years before that, was running a pawn shop that was making 100K, pure profit, no issues. It was doing great for a pawn shop in that area. We were running other businesses. We had gift shops. We had the pet store. We have all this other stuff running great. And then I did this restaurant, and I got caught up on my dream, and I wanted it so bad right then and there. I didn't plan it out. Even if I had waited another 2 or 3 months and really, really thought out how I was going to do a COVID opening, we'd probably be singing a different song. But unfortunately, life happens. I jumped the gun, and maybe it's a lesson for you guys. When you get ahead of yourself, that's when you're most dangerous. There's no one to blame for that failure but myself. Or, to be fair, I could point fingers, but again, it doesn't get you anywhere. My point behind this is, don't jump your guns. Know what you're doing. Have plan A through Z. Don't rely on plan A, because it's very unlikely that plan A is going to work. It's very unlikely that plan B is going to work. It's very unlikely that plan C is going to work. Just, you need to have everything figured out, and that's the problem. And for a lot of people, that's weakness, and I never thought it was a weakness for me, but I learned that it was. And so yeah, 6 months later, we closed the doors. I could barely pay off the rent. Ended up making a deal selling the equipment to the landlord, so we had a fully staffed kitchen, or a fully equipped kitchen, sorry. And also using that money to pay off employees, because we were running behind on payroll, which is a huge no-no in the business world. And we were starting to take money out of the pawn shop account. We were starting to take money out of the other business accounts, which, again, is a huge no-no. The key is diversifying your income. Each business is its own thing. That's why you form LLCs. And if you're interested in learning how to, open and develop multiple companies, let me know, and I'll talk a little bit about that in another video. Talk more about, building subsidiaries and all that other fun stuff. But we were starting to take money from the other businesses, and it was just a quick disaster. We quickly, cut that to prevent any other damage. And when it was all said and done, we took not a huge L of my money and investors' money, and some of the other businesses' money that have negative effects that have still lasted to this day. And it's going on 6 months. So it sucks. Anyways, guys, it sucks. So hopefully this little lesson of me getting ahead of myself, and I consider myself overall successful. I consider myself a good businessman, a good entrepreneur. And I'm telling you this as I've screwed up. I don't want you to be discouraged. We all make mistakes, and that could not be more true. I will continue to make mistakes. I will continue to make investments that will cost me money. If you don't fail, you're not trying. And I know that sounds bad, but it happens. Failure happens. You have to learn from your mistakes. And, I get asked all the time, because people overall love the food. We got great reviews. And I get asked all the time, am I going to do another restaurant? And the answer to that is absolutely hell freaking yeah. I would love to do it. It is still my dream. Am I discouraged? Was I upset about losing money? Yes. Am I discouraged about doing anything in the future? Absolutely not. Because, guys, it's the lesson I'm trying to push on all of you. Once you are a member of the Wolfpack, you know that you are going to strive for the best no matter what, no matter how many bumps are in the road. If you're a leader of the Wolfpack, or you're a member of the Wolfpack, that makes you a leader. That means you are going to make the decisions. You are going to do what you need to do. You are going to grind to make your dreams come true, because you kick ass. Anyways, guys, I hope this video, reaches some people. Hopefully it teaches you some lessons. I know it's a lesson that I learned the hard way. And, at the end of the day, don't be afraid of failure. But I am here to talk with you guys. Let me know if you guys have had any great success stories or great failure stories. Talk about it in the comments. Like I said, no one's perfect. We all make mistakes. I am here to help you guys, and hopefully together we can rise above everything going on, especially in our crazy world today, because we all can kick some major ass.